All right, friends, we are going on a deep dive as a follow-up to my video about the $2,600 and a free flight home that is being offered to illegal aliens who want to self-deport. Wow, did this take me on a rabbit hole trail? And if you'd like to see exactly what kind of corruption is going on, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at exactly where this money is going, how much money is going for these illegal alien programs. The very curious contract you can see in the headline here that has a lawsuit against it because it was challenged as secretive and unlawful. I'll give you one guess as to who or what type of person got this contract. Gee Willikers, I wonder if it was someone who donated to Trump's campaign, someone who has no experience in the aviation and rehoming industry, which is what this is all about. So some of you were applauding the fact that the $2,600 is a lot less than what the United States spends on trying to track down and arrest the illegal aliens. I reminded you that being in the country illegally is not a crime. It's not a criminal violation. It's a civil violation. You are charged with basically, you're going to have to pay a fee and you have to leave the country. Only if you come back into the country after you've been deported, then it becomes a crime. So if you want to know more, I will link up my previous video. But what I want to share with you is the very interesting sort of con game that's going on. I was shocked to find out that these illegal aliens, well, let me share that with you in just a moment. Before I do anything more, let me share with you a message from our sponsor, and that is over at noblegoldinvestments.com. Friends, many of you are asking me about whether or not you should get physical gold or silver. I personally cannot give you investment advice, but I would love for you to go to noblegoldinvestments.com to get your questions answered by the experts, because something is brewing. I'm sure that you can feel it. And the problem, it's usually always the problem, you never really know the full story until after the crash, after the collapse, after it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself afterwards. You need to be ready now when it comes to your wealth, when it comes to your retirement. And in this uncertainty, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing, maybe there's just noise, nobody knows for sure. But if you are just waiting to find out, that's how people get hurt. So physical gold and silver, that's what we're talking about. They're not just investments, they are preparation. They are the foundation of real protection. My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. There's no pressure, there's no games, just proven insight when it matters most. So you're either prepared or you're not. Which one are you going to be when and if everything changes overnight? So go to noblegoldinvestments.com. You can download a free wealth protection kit. And if you qualify this month, there is a February bonus where you will receive a 3-ounce American Virtues Independent Silver round. So check it out. Of course, there's always a risk with any kind of investment. So get your questions answered over at noblegoldinvestments.com. Friends, we are diving into this massive DHS, Department of Homeland Security. I don't care for that name, Homeland. This department was created in the aftermath of the 9/11 event, and it just, as many people have agreed with me, it just has a very strange sound to it. Homeland Security. It sounds very dark and sort of oppressive and communistic, and I don't care for it. Anyhow, the Department of Homeland Security, yes, the very ones that oversee the TSA that like to grope and fondle people who are innocent just because they want to fly on a plane. And of course, Department of Homeland Security oversees ICE as well. They are being sued because there was a contract related to this self-deportation that is being challenged as secretive and unlawful. So it says the rush deal worth up to $915 million, that is almost $1 billion, was handed to a firm with no track record as a federal contractor, a rival's lawsuit alleges. That's what we're going to be looking at. And I was shocked to find out that when these illegal aliens self-deport, they don't go on United Airlines or Delta. They go with this contractor that is costing a lot more than that $2,600 per person. We're also going to take a look at the digital requirements for someone to self-deport. Before we get into that lawsuit, let's start here. I wanted to go a little deeper to follow up on the previous video I did. So CBP is the Customs and Border Patrol Department. And this is where individuals who want to self-deport get started. So they download the app on the App Store. You know how I feel about the apps. They are going to fill out all of their personal information. They are going to do a photo so that the government can grab their biometric data. And then, of course, then it is submitted. Here's the information on the website. Aliens choosing to use CBP Home to notify DHS of their intent to self-deport and self-report their exit are asked to provide biographic and biometric information. And then they want the photograph, and the CBP will also capture their geolocation information of the mobile device. And they also are going to capture everything about the person's phone and what type of phone, what operating system, and everything else. So this is part of a program called Mobile Passport Control. Let me know if you have traveled internationally lately, if you have been asked to stand in front of a screen that takes your picture to match it up with your passport. I gave you a story about my getting my passport renewed. I think it's a good idea to have a passport on hand just in case you need to fly the coop, if you know what I'm saying. And I was so chagrined that they would not allow me to smile. So I ended up smirking. And they told me that you couldn't smile because otherwise the government wouldn't be able to match up your face with the records. So it was quite shocking to me. I sort of was stunned, and I kind of regret that I went through with it, because here's what happens. The United States government has a picture of you. I'm sure they already have a picture of me with everything that I do publicly here online, but maybe you want to remain more private. So people that are traveling now internationally are being told to stand in front of a screen for this mobile passport control. Note to self, please remember, you can always opt out and you can say, I do not consent. I want to have my passport just reviewed by a border patrol agent or an immigration agent. I do not consent to having my picture being uploaded. And of course, they'll tell you, oh, we're not going to keep it, and we already have your data anyway. So let me know if that's something that you've been through. So when it comes to the money that they're calling exit bonuses, all right, I take issue with calling this pay for play or this hush money or this get out of Dodge money as a bonus. Isn't a bonus something you earn, like if you work hard? So I'm really careful about language, and I do not care for this being called an exit bonus. On another point, we're looking at this Project Homecoming, which is the Department of Homeland Security overseeing the Project Homecoming exit bonuses for these illegal aliens who are self-deporting. Now, in most cases, they receive their $2,600 after they land in the country of arrival. I posed a question in my previous video. Where are they going, actually? Well, they don't necessarily go to their own country. Any guesses as to where they go first? Well, I'll just tell you. They go to the country of Honduras. Honduras is also being paid by the United States to process these illegal aliens before they are sent on their way to their home country. And they get on a plane that is paid for by you, your tax dollars. I got an interesting comment from a Healthy American saying, Peggy, you keep saying that our tax dollars are paying for these things, and they're not. Well, I do understand that the government prints money out of thin air, but I also understand that my pocket is picked every month, and every time I do anything, I buy anything, I am taxed. So yes, tax money is going out of my pocket. I don't know exactly where it's going. It seems like it's going to these illegal aliens. I'm certainly not getting a refund on it. So here is the Project Homecoming. And stick with me because it gets very interesting in just a moment. Project Homecoming was started by Trump in 2025 as part of this self-deportation program. It's primarily driven by the Department of Homeland Security, your friend and not mine, Kristi Noem. And well, when it comes to this border security, key operational partners include Salas Worldwide Solutions for Air Logistics and foreign governments like Honduras and Colombia. So I'm going to break down this Salas Worldwide Solution because this is where it gets very Intriguing. There's a lot of con games going on here. So, Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State are leading the initiative, which includes using that app that I just showed you for voluntary departures. This is old data. It's no longer $1,000. It is $2,600 per person and their free flight. Again, you're not going to be sitting next to them on Delta or Southwest Airlines because they're flying on Salus Worldwide Solutions. I'm going to show you that. This company was founded by a former State Department official, Walter Wallace. It sounds like a fake made-up AI name to me. He was awarded a major contract for air operations to transport individuals. And the foreign partners like Honduras and Colombia are the ones that are going to receive the participants before they ostensibly go to their home country, but who knows if they ever get there. So let's take a look at, oh my gosh, I wanted to find out this name, Salus. What does it mean? So apparently it has to do, in the Spanish language, it can translate to security, prosperity, and well-being. But I did a little more digging. You see, friends, I go down the rabbit hole. I'm glad you're on board with me as we're doing this together. Salus was actually a goddess. Not that I believe in goddesses, but this is what history tells us. Salus was the daughter of Aesculapius, the demigod son of Apollo, and the human princess Coronis. Gee, rings a bell, doesn't it? Coronis? This so-called Greek god of medicine was the Greek god of medicine and healing, and Salus's role was to feed and care for her father's snakes, and also to act as his assistant. Snake venom was considered by some to be beneficial, and their ability to shed and regrow skin, meaning the snakes, was a sign of rebirth and renewal. Can we just camp out here for a little bit, friends? You see, this is where my red flags are raised, and this is where my discernment meter goes off, because out of all the names of these companies that just was created, by the way, in 2022, of all of the names that could be chosen, Salus, yes, they're going to hide under the smoke screen that it does mean security, prosperity, and well-being. So you're telling me the only illegal immigrants we have in the United States speak Spanish? Why would this program have a Spanish name? There are people from all different ethnicities and language backgrounds. I think they chose this because of the connotation to the snakes. And you know, Trump loves to tell the snake poem. You knew I was a snake before you let me in, he has repeated again and again and again. And then the snake venom aspect, which I cannot verify is accurate, but some have gone along with the narrative that the injectable product that was supposed to be given for the cooties, I call it the cooties cocktail, that apparently it had snake venom in it. But what I also wanted to share with you was this image of the snake. Now, this is not their logo, but this is what I came across when I was doing my research. So the snake imagery is very apparent in this name, Salus. And it reminds me of the snake eating its own tail, which we've seen with Turning Point. So lots of threads here that I'm unraveling. So here we are coming back to this story, and I'll link that for you in my Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. And I also went to the original source, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment, which is the actual lawsuit that was filed. But I wanted to share with you just some of the information here. So this comes from Mother Jones, and it was one of the few outfits or outlets that actually was covering this story. Friends, I'm interrupting myself because I wanted to share with you the actual website of the Salus Solutions, that is the subject of this lawsuit and pretty much the con game. So safety, security, confidence. It looks to me like, when I reviewed this website, like it was a really rushed website. It was just kind of thrown together. And when you look at some of the, let's look at the customer comments. This really got me laughing. It's got all of these quotations, and there's no person. There's no company, there's no date. So usually when you have a testimonial, you might even have the person's face, or you might have the company. You certainly are going to have their name. So this looks completely made up to me. As a person who has overseen and designed and created many websites for my many businesses over the years. This just looks like one of those shell websites. So this is the Salus solutions. And then we need to look at a couple of the players that are in the story that I'm going to share with you from the Mother Jones article. So the first fellow is Chris Pratt. Oh, no, not the Super Mario actor Chris Pratt. This fellow over here, they kind of look like they could be brothers or cousins, but here we've got Christopher Pratt is going to figure into this con game story, as is this man here, William Walters. Again, this name sounds like it's made up. Maybe it's not, but again, my BS meter just kind of goes off, or I should say my discernment meter. So we are looking here at this article, Pogo Investigates, and this is the story that I want to share with you. So earlier this year, the Department of Homeland Security handed a massive aviation contract, potentially worth nearly $1 billion, to a relatively new company with no federal contracting experience, following an opaque and seemingly hurried process. The deal has sparked criticism from a rival contractor in a scathing lawsuit, and records obtained by Mother Jones reveal the extensive involvement of a senior DHS official who formerly worked with the winning company's CEO. The lawsuit alleges the contract was unlawful, rushed, and non-competitive. As the Trump administration pours billions of dollars into DHS for its crackdown on undocumented immigrations, that's an interesting phrase that they're using there. I'm calling them illegal aliens. The contract adds to a growing number of deals that have prompted questions about the integrity of DHS contracting. So the lawsuit actually is right here, and this is CSI, sounds like the TV show. CSI Aviation is suing the United States for this controversy over the bid. It's a bid protest because no one actually got to put in the bid. So here their summary says that they are seeking declaratory and injunctive relief, meaning to have the United States stop using this SOLAS. So they want them to be stopped from moving forward with an unlawful, rushed, non-competitive award of a massive 3-year, $915 billion infinite delivery, infinite quantity contract. The contract was awarded to Salus Worldwide Solutions Corporation, as I showed you the website a moment ago, and it was awarded this contract. The DHS awarded this contract in less than a week to a company with no track record as a prime government contractor, justifying this award on a manufactured sense of urgency tied only to broad policy goals, not pressing operational necessity. Now, I can't tell you much about CSI Aviation other than they were given contracts by the federal government, so I would need to do a deep dive on that. But let's just take a look at this here, shall we? So let's go back to the story now that we know some of the players. All right. Christopher Pratt, I'm going to start right here, is a former State Department colleague of Walters. The White House had nominated Pratt for a high-level position to serve as the State Department's main liaison with the Pentagon, but pulled his nomination on September 29th, ostensibly so he could run this other program. Internal DHS records seen by Mother Jones show that Pratt was involved in the contract to Salus. In April, before the contract was awarded, Pratt scheduled DHS off-site meetings at Salus's office and personally congratulated Walters after his company won the contract. Neither Pratt nor Walters responded to questions. So the contract is worth up to $915 million, and that is for the air operations. So no, Delta is not getting the money, Southwest is not getting the money, or American Airlines. No illegal alien is going to be sitting on a plane next to you. They are going to be flown out by this Salus operation, and that is quite a bit of money. It's not just that $2,600 with the exit bonus. As I said in my previous video, it's hard to know how many people so far have accepted the offer. Now, the administration did float some numbers, but there's no way really of verifying that because it's the very department that is giving us the numbers, and we have no way of verifying that, as I say. So the controversy basically is that this Project Homecoming that involves self-deportation aviation services, this contract was awarded to a company that I just showed you, Salus, with all of the snake imagery and connections. And we know what snakes are represented in the Bible as well. So it's under scrutiny because this contract was basically fast tracked to this Salas, which has connections to the federal officials. And this William Walters was a major donor to the Trump campaign. So this fellow here, the Chris Pratt, was in close cahoots with that William Walters, and that is basically the gist of that lawsuit. So, friends, you know that I've spoken so much about controversies, and all of the corruption that goes on, not only in Orange County, California government, not only in Minnesota, not only in Hawaii, but in the federal government. So how do you like them apples? This money is given to a company that has zero experience as a federal contractor. The company was created by a fellow that used to work for the Department of State. Who knows if this was all set up as a shell to funnel money? I wonder how clean that money is after all of the laundering that it's been through. What say you? Thanks, friends, for being on board. I will continue to keep my eye on this story, and I appreciate your input and your comments. You can leave a comment here, or if you're a paid subscriber, over at my Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. Feel free to dig in. Email me any interesting clues that you find. support@thehealthyamerican.org, and I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming broadcast. I'm going to have a bonus video for you this Saturday. Tomorrow, I'm going to be broadcasting on my other channel, Living Swell with Peggy Hall, where we leave the headlines behind and we talk about positive ways to live fully and freely. Hope to see you there. That's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Living Swell with Peggy Hall, my second YouTube channel.